three positions open and when we receive three nominations?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'll be standing by.
Thank you, guys. Good morning, Ms. Roxanne. Can you hear me okay? Yes, ma'am.
It's the same gentleman, Carlos Sanchez, that just left you a voice message yesterday. From the same
Oh, transfer him.
Okay.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
see me?
Did you bring me some hot chocolate?
I did not. I'm so sorry.
No, but it's sir. Okay. Well, have a good day.
Either search, you got me.
Hold on, I'm unmuting on this end. Good morning, Commissioner. Can you hear us, see us okay?
Hi, May, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I sure can. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Everything's good, sir. We're ready to rock and roll.
Good, good, good. We got anybody else on yet?
Yes, sir. We've got Mr. Mia and I know Commissioner Fuentes is logged on and Mr. Khalifa.
Awesome.
Can you see them from your end over there?
Not yet.
You can see their names?
Yes, now I can. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. There's the man.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I gotta log off at 9 o'clock. I have two of the council people are coming in, talk about their projects. And so sorry.
Good.
No,
No, not a problem, okay?
okay, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Stephanie Castillo. Good morning, Ms. Castillo. Or Stephanie Castillo. Good morning to the person calling in as Stephanie Castillo. Are you there? Good morning, Mr. Lucio. Can you hear me okay? this guy's logging in, but he. Mr. Hinojosa, good morning. Can you hear me okay? I think you're on mute, sir.
Are you recording already? Unmute him, Jaime.
To the wrong place, but.
Yeah, maybe.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. How are you guys doing? How's everyone today?
Doing great, thank you.
Good. Happy New Year, everybody.
Mr. Hinojosa, I just want to make sure you can hear me. You're still on mute. I just want to make sure we can hear you too, sir.
Jaime, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I sure can. Good morning.
All right. Still trying to meander through these technical issues, but okay. Glad I'm on today.
Good. Good morning,
Audio
Ms.
and visual.
Lambert. Good morning, Ms. Lambert. Can you hear us? See us okay?
Oh.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonia.
How are you?
Doing good.
Great.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Jaime. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. A little chilly this morning.
Yes, it's nice.
It is. Nice change.
Jaime, just confirmation, you can't hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, cool.
Morning, Mr. Castro. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir, Mr. Salazar. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Nelda Barrera, Texas Department of Agriculture.
Good morning,
Good
Ms.
morning,
Barrera. We
Nelda.
can hear you.
Great. Happy New Year to everyone.
Likewise.
Jaime, I went ahead and got on my cell phone. The iPad's a little struggling, so if you have two entries for me, that's why.
Okay, so thank you, sir.
Jaime,
Yes,
do
sir.
we have the Water Development Board on yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will call this meeting to order and welcome everybody to our meeting of January the 13th of 2021. Wishing everyone a happy new year and hope everyone is healthy and staying safe from this virus, and encouraging everyone to get a vaccine ASAP, I will have you do the roll call, Jaime.
Yes, sir. Jose Hinojosa.
Present. Good morning.
David A. Garza.
Present.
Daniel Lucio. I know I saw him on here. Mr. Lucio?
He's on there.
He's on there. We see him. Okay. Hudson Bayoy.
He's on there.
We see him on there. Good morning, sir. Commissioner Fuentes.
Good morning. Present.
Joey Trevino.
He's on there.
Morning, Joey.
Morning.
Vanessa Rosales Herrera. She's on.
He's on
Mr. Joe Califa.
Good morning, I'm here.
Jose Caso.
Present.
Sonia Lambert.
Present.
Mr. Riazul Mia.
Present.
And Mr. Willie Cupid. I saw
I'm
him.
here.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Tim Freer. Mr. Tim Freer. Ms. Nelda Barrera.
Good morning. I'm here.
Adrian Perez. Adrian Perez. Ms. Shonda Mace.
Present.
Good morning, ma'am. Ms. Megan Ingram.
Present.
Morning. And Mr. David Ramirez.
Morning. Present.
Morning, Mr. Ramirez. Thank you. Chairman, that ends roll call. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Jaime. Item number 3 is review of written public comments received. Jaime, do you have anything?
No, sir. None listed. Ms. Megan, any posting on your end, ma'am?
No, sir, not that I know of at this time.
Okay,
Thank
we'll proceed to item number 4. Discussion and action as appropriate. Consider approval of the minutes from the previous meeting of December the 3rd. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes?
Yes.
And if so, and if there's no corrections, or if there's corrections, please let us know now.
Morning, Chairman Garza. This is David Ramirez from the
Yes, sir.
TCEQ. I just want to make for the record known that I was present at the December 3rd meeting. As it reflects, I was not present.
Okay, sir. We will make sure and make that correction.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You got that?
Yes, sir. We're good.
Okay. Any other?
Second as corrected.
Second is corrected. Okay. Who made the first motion? Was that Joe?
Yes.
Okay. We will go ahead. If everyone is okay, vote as approved with the correction of Mr. Ramirez being present at the meeting. All those in favor say aye or raise your right hand.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Item number 5, discussion and action as appropriate consideration of Region 15 Lower Rio Grande Regional Flood Planning Group mission statement. Do we have a statement from anyone that they wish to share with us? Jaime, do you have anything on record?
No, sir, I do not have anything on record for the mission statement, sir.
I have a suggestion.
Yes, sir. This is Mr. Dale, right?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning. I can read it, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Not that long, but the intent of the Regional Flood Planning Group, Region 15, is to minimize the impact of flooding on the Rio Grande Valley while considering the public safety, economic, environmental, and societal implications of its recommendations.
Any other has any statements to share with us? You know, the only thing that I would add, Dr. Deo, if you would not mind, would be instead of saying the Rio Grande Valley, that we would add Region 15 Flood Planning Group Area.
Oh, just Region 15? Okay.
Flood Planning Group Area, because that includes, you know, the whole geographic area.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that. Made that
Okay.
change.
Any other suggestions from anyone present?
I do have a question actually that's kind of related. The group, we produce a plan, which I guess is a recommendation, or is this something that, you know, has more, I don't know how far it goes beyond a recommendation versus something that has more meat to it.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So what I have is that at the end of it, I say the group's recommendations for a plan, basically. Okay. Is that what we are doing, is making recommendations, or are we doing something else?
No, we're doing a plan.
Yeah. But is this a recommended plan or is this something that once we complete our work, that it's that's something that has to be done, or it's optional, or what?
Chairman Garza, if I could, may I?
Please.
Sure, and we're going to get into this actually in my presentation shortly. It will be going into the scope of work, but part of your regional flood plan will include a list of recommended evaluation strategies and projects, and that will be compiled and ranked into the state flood plan after you submit your regional flood plan. So you'll see that there are 10 tasks that you're going to tackle with your scope of work and in this plan, but built into that plan will be your recommended list of those evaluation strategies and projects.
So it's okay if we leave recommended on there.
I'll defer to you, but I would say so, but it's up to the group.
Right, because in essence, Dr. Deo, that is exactly what we're doing, what you just said.
Just need a little clarification.
Okay. Any other comments from any of the other members in regards to the mission statement, I'm sorry. If not, I'll entertain a motion. We can always revisit it later if there's any additions or deletions that need to be made. But I would entertain a motion to approve it as amended with the word Region 15 Flood Planning Group.
Make a motion to approve as discussed and recommended on the amendment.
I second it.
Okay, moved and second that we approve it as discussed with the amendment. All those in favor say aye or raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have a statement, a mission statement. Item number 6 is an update from the Texas Water Development Board. Megan, if you would go ahead and proceed with your presentation. Or whoever might be on from Water Development Board that is going to do it.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Garza. Yes, I'm prepared to make my presentation. Jaime and I spoke, and I'm gonna wait till the slides are up and we will start.
Thank you.
I'll just get started with an intro. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jaime. So today I'm going to be going over the scope of work that is going to be a part of the main contract with the Drainage District and the Texas Water Development Board, as well as a subcontract between the Drainage District and your future technical consultant. The scope of work is made up of 10 tasks. A few of the tasks have a couple subparts like A and B, and those tasks will actually be the standalone chapters that will make up your regional flood plan. So keep in mind that today's presentation is an overview of these tasks. I highly encourage you all, I think I may have mentioned it last time, to check out the draft scope of work that is on our website. And it really has a lot of detail for every single one of these tasks to follow the regional flood planning rules. So highly encourage you all to check it out, as it will be the very content that's going into your regional flood plan, as well as both the contracts under this grant. Next slide, please. We can skip past that. Thank you, Jaime. So this is a snapshot or a screenshot of a document that we are developing that you'll be able to use for quick reference as you develop your regional flood plan. So it shows the relationship between the regional flood planning rules, so Texas Administrative Code Chapter 361, how that relates to the scope of work, and how that cross-references to each of your regional flood plan chapter numbers. So this is cut off right at 3 and 2B, but it will go down through all of your 10 tasks. It's just sort of a snapshot of what you'll be able to use for quick reference in the future. Next slide, please. And one additional note, so that will be a quick reference document, but as we go through each of these tasks, keep in mind that they do relate to the draft scope of work with all the details that goes into each of these tasks. But in addition to that scope of work, we're developing a detailed guidance document that will go into even more detail about how you meet those requirements in the scope of work. So that is forthcoming, but just know we have lots of resources ready to help aid you in putting together your plan. So getting started, and actually, sorry, Jaime, that was a note on the last slide. Task 1, and we'll stick to the task 1 slide, Jaime. So up a little bit. Thank you, I apologize. So task 1, again, will be the chapter 1 of your regional flood plan. It's the task 1 of your scope of work. And this is the planning area description. So you'll be taking a look at your region, getting familiar with it, describing various features of your region, including society and economics, flood-prone areas and historical flood events, entities with flood-related authority, local regulation relevant to flooding, and existing and proposed flood infrastructure. Next slide, please. The second task, so task 2, is made up of existing and future flood risk analysis. So for both existing and future, you'll be performing analyses for 1% and 0.2% annual chance events. So again, under each of that, part 2A is existing, part 2B is future analysis. For each of those, you'll be performing a 3-step analysis. First, where there's hazard analysis to determine the location, magnitude, and frequency of the flood or the hazard itself. The second part is exposure analysis that will analyze who and what will be harmed in that hazard. And third, vulnerability analysis to determine how communities and critical facilities are vulnerable to that hazard. So the 3-part for both 2A and 2B. Next slide, please. In task 3A, you'll be evaluating and recommending floodplain management practices by taking a look at current management and land use standards and considering whether they're insufficient or ineffective and whether that increases risk to both existing and future people and properties. You'll be considering how the 1% annual chance floodplain and risks may change over time and how best to address those changes, as well as making recommendations which may include floodplain management, land use, and economic development practices and strategies. And a note here, in doing so, Region 15 has an option to adopt. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm getting a little echo. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So again, an important note here. Each region has the option to adopt minimum standards that entities within the geographic region must adopt before including any evaluations, projects, or strategies in the plan. So note, you do not have to adopt these minimum standards. And also the region doesn't have the authority to enforce those standards, even if it's adopted. But the way it works is that you'll see, we talked about that recommended list that will include recommended projects. Each project will be tied to a local sponsor who will be executing that project. And what you have the option to do is to require that if you want to be a local sponsor on any of our recommended projects, you must adopt these minimum standards, or else you won't be a sponsor and your project won't be included. So we'll get more into that detail but later, but I wanted to lift that up now and say that it's for the members to decide.
Megan, this is Joe. Just one
Sure.
quick suggestion. It's a minor point, but the 1 and the 0.2%, a lot of people are more familiar with the 100-year and the 500-year events. You might want to introduce that at the onset, just so people can kind of use that as a little anchor.
Yes, yes, sir. I think that's an excellent point. And from what I understand, that there's a shift in terminology to try to be more accurate, but it is definitely the case where there might be people who refer to it more as that. So we don't want anyone to be confused. We want to be clear. So I think that's a good point.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Megan, I do have another question or comment.
Sir?
I agree with Joe that that's a good observation. The other thing is there any consideration that they're going to be changing the percentages because of the frequency of storms and the magnitude which we've been experiencing over the last few years?
I think it's something to keep in mind as you work with your consultant and develop your plan. But at this time, the plan really is structured to analyze 1% and 0.2%.
Okay,
as it stands today, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that was the question of while we're doing this plan, if things change, do we need to modify that, or are we going to be using this as a standard regardless?
So as of now, it's 1% and 0.2%, but I would definitely be curious if there's some major shift, not only across the region, but across, if it's something that everyone needs to address, I would be curious. That's something that's going to be a question for everyone. So I'll kind of defer to whether that happens in the future, and we'll be open to discussion, but that's how it stands as of this moment.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Jaime. So on to task 3B. This will be before identifying those specific projects and strategies. It's important to take a step back and think about goals. So in this task, you'll be identifying both 10-year, so short-term, and 30-year long-term floodplain management goals, and state the levels of residual risk that exist after each of those goals are met. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. So in this chapter of your plan, task 4A, you'll be looking at your region through the lens of identifying areas with the most mitigation and risk study needs, so any gaps in information, by considering a host of things. So areas most prone to flooding, location and performance of current management and policies, areas without adequate maps and inundation maps, areas with an emergency need, with existing modeling analyses, and with mitigation projects that have already been identified or even implemented, as well as historic flood events. So the image to the right shows a USGS map that shows areas flooded during Hurricane Harvey, and it's an example of historic flood events, as well as showing areas most prone to flooding. You'll notice a quick note that each of these tasks, they're meant to build upon and inform each other. So in task 2, you're going to be analyzing existing flood risk, and this will feed into this task of informing the process of identifying the locations with the most need or with the most gap in information. Next slide, please. All right, so this is actually a good intro, and I'm glad Mr. Deo asked about recommended projects and that kind of thing, because this is sort of the heart of that list. And we're going to talk about some key terms that we'll be using a lot, not only today, but well into the future. So I'm looking forward to getting y'all familiar with these terms. So again, one of the overarching goals of your regional flood plan is to recommend evaluations, strategies, and projects. And evaluations here are termed FMEs, or flood management evaluations. And these are the proposed studies of areas where we need more information to determine whether there's even the potential for strategies and projects. So that's the first, evaluations, FMEs. FMSs are strategies that are proposed plans to reduce flood risk. So these strategies are, you can think of them as the big picture ideas with no associated capital costs yet. And finally, there are FMPs, the flood mitigation projects. And these are specific projects with specific costs that, again, as we touched on, will have a local sponsor. And that's how all three of these tie together. So the evaluations are the first, and then you can think of strategies as the big umbrella which the specific projects then fit into. So you'll be seeing these acronyms a lot, again, the FMEs, FMSs, and FMPs throughout the planning process. And they will make up the list of recommended evaluation strategies and projects that you're putting in your plan that will be incorporated into the state flood plan. Next slide, please. Alrighty, so task 4B. It really can't be overemphasized here that task 4B is a very big task, and it really can't be summarized properly in one slide. So again, another reminder, we highly encourage members to read the detailed scope of work, especially for this task, in which you'll be identifying everything that could possibly be done to mitigate flood risks by identifying and evaluating potential evaluation strategies and projects, and that will be based on public input. So as you can see, it's a short slide, but you can see how it would be a very big task, as you're just identifying the potential scope of all those things and using public input to help inform that. Next slide, please, Emma. Task 4C will be the midpoint deliverable to the TWDB. So that will include all of the deliverables between tasks 1 and 4B. So it'll be that midpoint report to the TWDB, and there's forthcoming guidance on exactly what information and how will be included in that tech memo, the technical memorandum, but you can know that that will be due in January 2022, which sounds far away, but we all know it's not that far away. So that will be your midpoint at this point. Next slide, please.
That's a year from now.
Yes, sir.
Which is, we haven't even awarded a contract yet.
Correct. And
is that very ambitious, or is that a doable?
We consider it to be possible because we've built out so we know this is an accelerated planning cycle. Just because it's the first one, normally you'd have all 5 years. It's going going into the second planning cycle. But we've sent this out, and we'll be happy to share it again. We've actually built out a graphically useful working conceptual schedule that actually breaks down between the beginning and the end of this planning cycle. So when your regional flood plan is due, by task. So all of these tasks, as well as with sort of a recommended conceptual schedule for how to meet those tasks. And that schedule will also include the hard deadlines that must be met, including, for example, when that tech memo is due. So, the Drainage District and HIMED, they're already working on, and we'll touch on this later, but the procurement process for your technical consultant. So, the faster that happens and the happier you are with your consultant, you can get started right away on executing that schedule. Oh, so I think, did we do task 5, Jaime? I apologize. Okay, so in task 5, you guys will be recommending all of those evaluation strategies and projects identified in that task 4B. So all the potential of those 3 evaluation strategies and projects, and recommend which to actually include in your plan. So in that list. Next slide, please. And here is a good time to take a step back and think about the bigger picture of the planning process. So as we know, your regional flood plan will include that list of recommended FMEs, FMSs, and FMPs. And that list, your list in your plan will not be ranked at this point. It will simply be a list, a recommended list. And by January 2023, when all of the 15 of the regional flood plans are due, the TWDB will compile them into the one state flood plan. And it's at this step that all of those FMEs, FMSs, and FMPs will be ranked across the state. And we'll be using specific criteria, and those associated weightings that we're going to be using for ranking those we don't know yet, but it will be developed by the TWDB and be based on a transparent process with lots of stakeholder input. So that will happen during the state flood planning process after your plan is due.
So then the criteria used to evaluate our recommendations is not going to be available to us before or as we're developing the recommendations.
I'm not sure when we'll actually develop those criteria. It's not at this point. So we'll keep you closely updated. If we get close to that end of the regional flood planning process, we might have more information, but I will definitely keep y'all posted.
It would be helpful, I would imagine, for us to have that criteria at some point in time, or to be part of at least recommending what that criteria should be, so that we'll know the projects and how we can strategize to get the funding for them.
Yes, sir. I understand. I'll keep you posted on that development. And certainly I want to recognize that even when it comes time after the regional flood plans are submitted and it's in the state flood planning process, we want to make sure it's always a priority to take stakeholder input, and that will be closely considered. Next slide, please, Simon. So in task 6A, now that Region 15 would have decided which evaluation strategies and projects, the FMEs, FMSs, and FMPs to include in the plan, you'll next be considering what the impact of that plan would be. So this will include a summary of the reduction in flood risk, impacts to a variety of regional aspects, including the environment, agriculture, and water quality. And lastly, and very importantly, the regional flood plan, when implemented, must not negatively affect neighboring areas inside or outside of the region. That will be a consideration as well. Next slide, please. In task 6B, you'll be evaluating the impacts that your regional flood plan will have on water supply and development in the state water plan. So you'll do this by identifying which of your projects and strategies would have an impact on that water supply and development. So as many of y'all are very well aware, there's a water planning process that administratively closely matches our flood planning process. And that culminates in a state flood plan every 5 years. I'm sorry, a state water plan every 5 years. So you'll be analyzing how any of your recommended projects and strategies may impact those in the state water plan.
Megan, excuse me, this is David Fuentes. With respect to that and the water supply, I mean, we could potentially be affecting it negatively and positively. Who at the Water Development Board will be that liaison, and will we be tasked? I mean, I know it says here task 6B, but there's already expertise there. Who's going to be the liaison between those regional planning groups and us?
So I would say that would be me, so I can keep in close contact with anyone you wish on the water planning side. The other option is you can certainly invite them to your meetings. Y'all are welcome to attend the water planning meetings. We've had, and this is not a proposal at all, it's just sort of to show the scope of what your options are. I've heard of other flood planning regions consider creating a non-voting member position for someone on the water planning group, things like that. So there's a variety of options, but I'm definitely here to help be your resource and facilitate that.
I appreciate that. They also have a consultant that they use that does help prepare that 5-year plan. It may be worthwhile to explore whether that person can participate or at least listen in, because I think they would have the technical expertise to determine whether we're doing something impactful, good or bad.
I see. I think that's certainly an option. And there's a variety of ways that we can help communicate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fuentes. Task 7. So here the region will be summarizing the nature and types of flood response preparations and recovery activities. So it's important to note that RFPGs won't be performing any analyses related to disaster response. This will more be a summary of what currently exists when it comes to response and recovery. Next slide, please. Task 8 requires the development of policy recommendations that the group considers important to facilitate floodplain management, mitigation planning, and implementation to achieve your stated goals in the plan. So these can be legislative, regulatory, and administrative recommendations. And you're also welcome to consider and potentially develop any recommendations for new revenue raising opportunity to help fund mitigation activities in your region. Next slide, please. Task 9, so one of the last tasks as we come up to task 10, we'll look at your recommended FMEs and FMPs, so your evaluations and your projects, and you'll be coordinating with those local sponsors to help report on how those sponsors propose to finance projects. So this assessment will also describe what role the group proposes for the state in helping finance those evaluations and projects.
Sorry, Megan, I want to ask one more question with respect to that. Because of the Prop 8 and the flood infrastructure funding, will this group have any tasks related to evaluating projects that are proposed to the Water Development Board for future FIF projects?
So can you repeat your question, your very last question one more time, Commissioner? I'm sorry.
Will this group have any role or responsibility in evaluating projects that are submitted to the Water Development Board under future flood infrastructure funding projects?
So luckily, and I think that's a great question, the FIF or the flood infrastructure funding projects, the scope of the work of those projects will be very helpful to the region, but there won't be any direct input on future FIF projects. So I think as you build your plan, you'll certainly be evaluating any existing ones and seeing how that plays and related to what you're going to be including in your plan, but there won't be any direct input as to future FIF projects, if that answers your question.
That does. I just wondered if we had some role in that, but thank you.
Of course. Alrighty, so lastly, task 10 covers the administrative support activities that will actually be happening throughout your plan. So it's sort of, task 10 is not consecutive in terms of last and timing, but it will cover the expenses that are needed throughout the planning process. So these administrative expenses, they can be related to public participation, meetings, and other related requirements by your sponsors or the drainage district, as well as your future technical consultant. So this can also include work that it takes to put your actual plan together, like production, distribution costs, and responding to the public. So those are the expenses that are covered in task 10.
Megan, this is Hudson. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On public participation, I mean, I've been through some of these before in which there's not much public participation versus others which is pretty good. Is there any, I mean, if one person shows up and says, oh, that's good, is that qualify as public participation? What, is there a criteria for that?
I would hope that we'd have more than one person, but throughout the process, like even starting now, there are opportunities for garnering public input. And even as an example, and your question is very timely, Mr. Deo, because I was going to note at the end of my presentation that so the regional flood planning rules require that the group holds a pre-planning meeting, and that is supposed to be based on public input related to your recommendations. And so the rules require that you have a pre-planning meeting. The TWDB is actually recommending that you have at least 2 of these meetings. And so that will be coming up. You can either include them in meetings with other agenda items, or you're welcome to make it its own standalone meeting, especially if you're hoping to get a lot of robust input, as you're alluding to, Mr. Deo. And we really encourage that in preparation for those meetings and opportunities like that will be built into the plan, that you'll do kind of extensive outreach to help ensure that there's a lot of input. But there's no requirement in terms of what counts as public input. It's just building in those opportunities to try and ensure that we have as much as we can.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Dale, from my experience, the meetings that have a lot of attendance are tied to funds. So if we really want to, a big turnout, we really need to tie this to some sort of funding and money opportunities. Otherwise, I think it's hard to justify for municipalities and so forth to expend their limited resources to just attend, these kinds of meetings. But the last one that I remember going to that was very packed was the CDBG MIT funding meeting, I think in Wesco, and that was packed. I mean, completely packed, because they were going to talk about $5.4 billion.
Yeah.
This is Joe. Megan, you mentioned in the previous slide, revenue raising opportunities. I don't know if this is a time for it, but give me a sense of what you're talking about there, or enlighten me what maybe other regions are discussing along those lines. Certainly that would pique public interest.
Right. Yeah, so right now it's a little bit open-ended about the opportunities for state funding, as well as how it will play with other projects and any other opportunities. So I'm not sure what other regions are doing, but we're getting more and more feedback as more meetings are happening. So I'm actually going to note that and see what information I can get back to you, if that's okay, because I recognize that would be helpful.
Revenue raising to me means like local funds available as opposed to access. Well, that's how I took it, but maybe I'm off track on that.
Sure. No, yes, sir. I understand. I'm going to note here to get more information to you where I can, but I think it will need to, as we touched on, one of your tasks will involve reporting on, so working with those potential local sponsors of each of your recommended projects to see what funding is available to kind of help paint that picture. But I would like to get you more information. So I'm going to note that and get back to you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions for Megan in regards to her presentation?
No, very good. Thank you, Megan. Appreciate the information and a lot to absorb for everybody. So we'll probably, I'm sure we'll get back with you with questions down the road.
Yes, sir. Open door for questions and comments and discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Megan. As always, very informative, and there's a whole lot of information for us to study. You give us homework all the time.
Try to be helpful, but thank you, Chairman.
No, that's fine. We appreciate the opportunity to do the best we can for this group. Next, we have item number 7, which is discussion and action as appropriate, additional non-voting positions to be assigned by entities. A is pre-registered public comment, and public comments would be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. If we have any, Jaime, do we have any speakers on the non-voting positions that wish to present to us?
None that registered, Chairman, and I don't have a call. I don't know if there's anyone on the line. Ms. Megan, if you have anybody on your end?
Right now, I don't have anything on my end right now, Jaime. Thank you.
Okay, if something comes on, we'll go ahead and recognize them. B is update from the planning group sponsor, and a non-voting member assigned by the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council and the other councils. It would be 1 through 5. Jaime, have you gotten any recommendations or suggestions from the councils of government?
Chairman, as you're aware, we mailed out on December the 14th to all non-voting members. I received an email back from the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, Mr. Manny Cruz. We were in communication. I didn't receive an actual name or representative from him, but I know that they are interested and they will be assigning someone.
Okay, how about any of the other entities that are listed?
I have not received anything back from South Texas Development Council. I have not received anything back from Middle Rio Grande. I have not received anything back from the Middle Rio Grande Development Council.
Okay.
I did receive some correspondence from the USGS from Mr. Timothy Raines. He did send me an email that he would get back to us after they spoke to their director. So I haven't heard anything back since. We were in communication back in the middle of December, and I've yet to hear back from him, but they did show interest, Chairman.
Okay.
And then the IBWC, I did receive an official letter from the IBWC, and they appointed a Mr. Ramon Macias, principal engineer, who will be the representative as a non-voting member for Region 15, sir.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the rest of the members?
I will continue communications, Chairman and committee members, with these representatives and make sure and get back to you as I hear, as they assign representatives from each entity, but I will follow up with them, sir.
If you would just follow up and keep this item on the agenda, Jaime, for all of them, including the one that Ramon Mancias, just keep it updated for us, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to item number 8, discussion and action as appropriate for additional non-voting and voting membership. A, are there any public comments that are pre-registered or that are on now that wish to speak up on this item?
Chairman, I do not have any pre-registered comments, and I don't have any calls or call-ins. Ms. Megan, anything on your end?
No, sir.
I don't know if anybody's on. I know. Okay.
Oh,
Chairman?
It doesn't appear to be. If somebody's on, they can always announce themselves and we'll recognize them. Do we have an update from you, Jaime, in regard to this?
Yes, sir. The solicitations were emailed out. We sent them all to the on the Texas Water Development Board website. They were posted up there for approximately 2 weeks. The deadline for the submittal of the solicitations was January the 1st. Again, we did send it out to the Texas Water Development Board website, and we did send it out to all the clerk's offices within the counties that we serve in Region 15. As of January the 1st, we received 3 solicitations. If I may, Chairman, I can read out the names.
Sure.
We did receive a solicitation from Mr. Alan Moore. Mr. Alan Moore is a professional engineer and worked 19 years as the general manager of Cameron County Drainage District number 5. We also received a solicitation from Commissioner Edward Gonzalez, Willacy County. And we also received another solicitation from Commissioner Raul Peña III from Starr County. And Chairman, just to let the committee know that I did receive a call this morning from Mr. Carlos Sanchez from the city of Harlingen. I believe he had some technical difficulties submitting his solicitation to the email address that we had posted. However, the committee would like to proceed, but we can open up the solicitation again for Mr. Sanchez, or we can discuss this, Megan. I don't know if we can consider it. I did receive an email from Mr. Sanchez where he did submit previous to the January 1st deadline, but for whatever reason, we didn't receive it on our end. So I would need some advice on how we can proceed with that.
I'll defer to you and Commissioner Garza on this. I think that putting out the solicitation period as y'all did, and then getting something back that has it within the due date, I think that makes it an option, but certainly we'll defer to Commissioner Garza and to you, Jaime.
Yeah.
I'll defer to you in the committee.
Jaime, the solicitation that did not go into your inbox, but had a receipt from him, or how was?
I did receive a receipt from him this morning where it shows that he did attempt to email the Region 15 email address, I believe on the 31st.
Which was within the time.
Yes, sir. It was way within the time. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, why don't we deal with the 2 positions from the counties that we have that came in and dispose of that issue, and then we can proceed with this one.
Of course, sir. Go ahead. So,
Okay.
Next item up, that's my update for those three, Chairman, unless you or the committee members have any questions on those that submitted solicitations.
Okay. Is there any more discussion of the individuals for the two positions in the county's interest category that anyone wishes to share right now? Nope. If not, do I have a motion to accept the two nominations that came in?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve. This is
Okay.
David Fuentes.
I'll
Thank
second it.
Thank you, Mia. Any comments or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye or raise your right hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. We will reach out to these two individuals to let them know. Item D is the discussion and nomination, consideration of individuals to fill one voting
Commissioner?
position. Yes,
I apologize very much. I'm sorry to interrupt. Could I just confirm which two individuals for note-taking purposes?
yes. It was, and I'll let Jaime read them out since he's got
It
the
was
name.
Commissioner Eduardo Gonzalez from Willacy County and Commissioner Raul Peña III from Starr County. Those would be the two voting members for the county interest.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. I apologize again.
Yes, no, you're
Jaime,
welcome.
could you send Megan the two letters that you got to make sure that she has all the appropriate information for them
Sure,
and they can be added on to the list?
Will do, sir.
Okay, next is D, which is discussion, nominations, and consideration of individuals to fill one voting position in the flood district interest category. Okay, and I will make an arbitrary decision and allow us to consider the second one that was sent in timely, but you didn't receive, because in all fairness, we want to be as open as transparent as possible.
Yes, sir, Chairman.
Unfortunately, we don't have any information before each one of us, but is Mr. Carlos Sanchez on the line by chance?
No, sir, he wasn't. He hadn't called in. I know that he tried logging in to this meeting, but unfortunately, for voting members only and the non,
Yep.
the membership.
Well, there's a public comment. There was a public comment.
Yes, sir. I don't have any calls right now, sir. Anything?
I'm sorry?
I don't have any calls pending from Mr. Sanchez at this time, sir.
Okay. It would be good if we had some information to look at before we would make a determination, just to be transparent. So he didn't send you a copy of his bio?
He did, sir. That was part of the email that was attached. I do have that now. Obviously,
can you
if you want me
share
to
that
read out
with
some
us?
information, I wouldn't want to post it because I'm sure he's got some personal information or numbers or something that I wouldn't want to put out there. But if there's any questions, I can read out to you what
Well,
I have.
I think that a bio submitted to this group is the other bios were submitted also, and we have them.
Yes, sir.
So
I do have in front of me, Chairman, that I can read out to the group.
please,
Okay?
that would be helpful.
Okay, the name of the individual, Mr. Carlos A. Sanchez, Assistant City Manager for the City of Harlingen. Mr. Carlos A. Sanchez is a licensed engineer in the state of Texas and currently serves as an Assistant City Manager and Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of Harlingen. Mr. Sanchez has a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from Colorado State University and a Master's in Business Administration with a concentration in Management of Technology from the University of Texas in San Antonio. Mr. Sanchez is also certified as a floodplain manager by the Texas Floodplain Management Association and a certified public manager by the state of Texas. And I believe I do have Mr. Sanchez just called in, Chairman, if you want me to patch him in.
Yeah, I mean, if we can give him 3 minutes.
Okay, sir. Let me get him on the line.
The one positive for this group is that both individuals that have shown interest are from the Harlingen area, so, and represent that area. So, you know, it's at least the area will have a representative, whichever we choose.
Commissioner, this is Joe Khalifa. Let me also add that I know.
Good morning, Mr. Sanchez.
Jaime.
Good morning.
Jaime.
Yes, sir.
Can you hold on, Mr. Khalifa? Can you start again? I'm sorry. We didn't hear everything you said because there was another conversation going on.
Go ahead, sir.
Sorry, yeah, I was gonna mention that Carlos has a number of years working with City of McAllen as well, so he's familiar with Hidalgo County. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khalifa.
Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to get Mr. Carlos Sanchez on the line for his 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Mr. Sanchez, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Sanchez, at this point, the chairman of the committee are considering your nomination. I did let them know about the technical difficulties that we had with the email address. If you wish to comment on your solicitation, Mr. Sanchez, you have 3 minutes, and I'll go ahead and start whenever you do, sir.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Larsa, good morning, and good morning to all the board members. I got to hear some of the bio that was read already on the YouTube. Again, my name is Carlos Sanchez. I'm an assistant city manager here in the city of Harlingen. And I'm not going to dwell too much on that as far as my current status or job employment, but I do want to mention that my background, technical background, has primarily been in water resources, floodplain management, having worked for both Cameron County, the city of McAllen, city of San Antonio, and here in the city of Harlingen. I have experience of over 24 years, more or less, of municipal, local government type of experience. And my interest in serving in this planning group is that the Arroyo Colorado, I believe, forms and it has a very important part in the flood water management practices that need to be implemented and looked at. Yes, the city of Harlingen is a recipient of the goods and the bads that the Arroyo Colorado brings to our area, but it's not just localized to the city of Harlingen. It's a regional thing that needs to be addressed, and I believe that the knowledge and the experience in working both with local governments and working with the federal government when it comes to IBWC, we've been able to make some headway in getting them to a point at this moment in time, mobilizing
1 minute left,
contractors to come in and do dredging and clearing of the arroyo. So I would strongly appreciate it if you all consider my background and experience into being part of this planning group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Appreciate you very much getting on. Just for the record, is Mr. Alan Moore on the line?
I don't have anything pre-registered on the line for Mr. Moore, Chairman, nor I do not have anything on hold or any current calls. Ms. Megan,
Okay.
on your end?
No, Jaime, not at this time.
Okay, we do have, and we're able to have a copy of his bio before us. And I hope everybody already had an opportunity to read it. It's great to have two individuals willing and wanting to serve in this category. So I will entertain discussion and nominations from the group.
Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Carlos Sanchez for this position. This is Joey Trevino.
Okay, Joey. Any other nominations? The nomination process is nominating and then we vote.
Chairman, I'd like to nominate Alan Moore.
Mr. Moore. Okay, Sonia, thank you. So both of them are nominated. So at this point, what we'll do is we'll just have to vote. And the first nomination was for Joey Trevino. So what I will do is I will ask for Jaime to go down the row and just go through each one, skip me, because I'll break a tie if there is one, and let's get this vote done. Jaime, start with the first one on the list.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jose Hinojosa.
What are the options here?
Mr. Allen, go ahead, Chairman.
Alan Moore and Carlos Sanchez.
So we name off who we prefer then, as opposed to
Yes,
signifying per individual? Just to
Yes.
clarify the procedures.
I just, each one member will tell me who they want, and then whoever gets the most votes wins.
Okay, fair enough. My vote is for Alan Moore.
Mr. Daniel Lucio.
My vote is for Carlos Sanchez.
Mr. Hudson Deoy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Your votes are for the flood district interest.
Yes.
Either Alan Moore or Carlos Sanchez.
Sanchez, excuse me. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Deoy. Commissioner Fuentes.
Mr. Moore.
Okay. Mr. Joey Trevino.
Mr. Sanchez.
Ms. Vanessa Rosales Herrera. Ms. Rosales Herrera, your vote, please.
I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Alan Moore.
Thank you. Mr. Joe Khalifa.
Carlos Sanchez.
Mr. Jose Caso.
Alan Moore.
Ms. Sonia Lambert.
Alan Moore.
Okay. And Mr. Rizul Mia, I believe he's off. He had to leave early today.
Yeah, he had a meeting.
How many do we have?
5 for Alan Moore. 4 for Carlos Sanchez.
We have 5 for Mr. Alan Moore and 4 for Mr. Carlos Sanchez. And,
okay.
And we need your.
Well, I will. My practice will be, and I should have announced it at the first meeting, I will not vote unless there's a tie.
Okay, sir. And I believe
thereby being no tie, the majority of the board will rule. And
okay,
that's
sir.
a practice I've followed for over 30 years of public service, and I will continue with this group. Okay.
No problem, Chairman. Thank you.
So please announce the numbers again so that Megan can.
Yes, we had 5 for Mr. Alan Moore and 4 for Mr. Carlos Sanchez.
Okay, so Mr. Alan Moore will be the new board member, and I want to thank Mr. Sanchez for his interest, and I hope that we can keep him on board with us as a participant. He's always welcome to join us, and hopefully will help us formulate and will be part of giving us input on many of these issues that he brought forth with his discussion with the group. So, Megan, did you get the information that you need?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We will proceed to item. Yes.
This is Joe Khalifa. I didn't have an opportunity to see a bio from Mr. Moore. I'd appreciate it if it could be sent to all of us.
It should have been in the packet yesterday, right? Or
no, sir, no. Chairman, those solicitation packets as by our bylaws were submitted just to the executive committee.
That's right.
But with your permission, we can send them out to the group now that they've been voted on.
Please do.
Yes, sir.
Please. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Khalifa. Item number 9 is discussion and consider action regarding non-voting member liaisons designated to each RFPG to coordinate between the upstream and downstream FPRs located within that same river basin, required per Administrative Code 361. The Regional Flood Planning Group will designate a liaison to become a non-voting member to the Regional Planning Group with which it shares a river basin. And we're going to item A, which is pre-registered public comment or public comments, and we'll allow for 3 minutes each to speak if we have any on board.
Chairman, I have nothing on my end, sir. Ms. Megan?
Nothing now.
Okay, so then we will proceed to item number 10.
No discussion on this item, Chairman?
Well, we don't have anyone that we can nominate, right?
If I'm not mistaken, Chairman, you can nominate a liaison within the committee.
Within our committee?
Yes, sir.
And Commissioner, you're also, yes. So the details here, if I may, so your region with which you share a basin is the Upper Rio Grande, Region 14. So what will happen is the group will choose an individual who will become a non-voting member of Region 14. It is up to you about the nature of the membership on your own group. You're welcome to choose among your current voting members. You're welcome to go solicit for an additional non-voting or voting member. So the nature of the membership on your own group is up to you, but this person will become a non-voting member on Region 14.
Okay. Well, is there any interest from any of our members that are on today to be that non-voting member and liaison for us? And Region 14 would be what area directly, Megan? That way folks will be refreshed.
Yes, sir. So if you take a look at, and I'm happy to share my screen if I need to, but looking at the 15 regions across the map, so it's going to be the upper half of the Rio Grande. So I wish I could show.
Check and see if we can share your screen so that folks, so
Okay.
all of us have and see who would be interested in.
Sure. Jaime, are you able? I just tried sharing my screen, but it says.
You have access, ma'am.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Joe Khalifa, I think it would be wise to also consider item 10 is very similar. So I think there's at least 3 members that from our board or our board that would be appointed as non-voting members in adjacent groups.
That is correct. So there are 2 categories of neighboring regions. One is that you share a basin with, and the other is a neighbor along the Gulf Coast. So you will do the same thing for Region 13. And a quick note, if I may, Commissioner, the heart of what you're doing this for is to assign a liaison to represent Region 15's interests at these other regions and to represent your interests within those other regions. So in terms of responsibilities and time commitments, it's at the chair's discretion, the groups, about how involved with both Region 14 and Region 13 you'd like this liaison to be. That's a consideration as well.
Well, and the involvement, I would think, would be enough to where, as they're developing their plan and it impacts us, to allow us to have the opportunity to be aware of what kind of impacts we would get in Region 15 from Region 14 or from 13. But let's talk about 14 right now, which is the Upper Rio Grande. Would it be appropriate to appoint someone from as close to that region as possible? Maybe they have more contacts, you know?
That's a consideration that I will defer to you as well. If you would like them to be connected in that region, or if you'd like them to attend every meeting in person, it may be helpful to look for someone who lives in that region. But all of those considerations are up to you to prioritize and to choose.
Any discussion from the rest of the members of the group?
So who is our closest member to Region 14?
Is that Vanessa, maybe?
I think it may be, actually. And I would have no issue representing Region 15 with Region 14.
So move.
That was quick.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of Vanessa representing our region in the meetings of the Upper Rio Grande Valley Region 14 group, say aye or raise your right hand.
Aye.
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 All those opposed, the same sign. Vanessa, thank you so much for volunteering for us. And we look to you now to, as they develop their plans, I know it's another meeting, but I think it's important that we are kept informed to some extent of the impact that any of their planning process will have in our watershed area. So I thank you for volunteering, okay? How about we'll go to item number 10, which is same thing, but it'd be Region 13, okay? Thoughts, recommendations, suggestions from the group in regards to discuss and consider action regarding non-voting member liaisons designated by each regional flood planning group to coordinate with neighbor flood planning groups along the Gulf Coast as required by the code. The regional flood planning group will designate a liaison to each of its neighboring RFPGs along the Gulf Coast. Each liaison will be a non-voting member of the RFPG. First and foremost, are there any public comments registered on this item?
No, sir, Chairman, not on my end. Ms. Megan?
Not at this time, Jaime.
No. Okay. Next, I'll open it up for discussion. You all have the map in front of you. What are the wishes of the group?
Commissioner, this is Jose.
Yes.
I don't mind participating. I believe as long as we continue doing these Zoom meetings, I guess in the future, if they start requiring in-person meetings, we may reconsider who could be closest.
Okay, we have one volunteer. When it says liaisons, is it more than one, Megan?
So it should be one to each, but clearly they can be different people to the different regions, but for one, it should be one each.
Okay. Okay, are there any other volunteers for this group?
Mr. Chairman, this is Manny from the Lower Rio.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to be considered, or the Lower Rio Grande Valley to be considered.
Commissioner, then I'll withdraw my request and allow the new one to come in.
Mr. Cruz, and just to be clear, you will be the representative for the non-voting membership for the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, Mr. Cruz?
Yes, it'll be myself, and alternate would be Rick Carrera.
Okay.
Thank you.
Megan, clarify this for me. In regards to this position, does it have to be a voting member, or can it be either a voting or non-voting member? It is a liaison.
It can be a voting or non-voting member, and that can be as currently stands, or you're welcome to go out and solicit for an additional person. But the membership on Region 13 will be a non-voting membership.
Okay. So that's good. Okay, Mr. Cruz. So you volunteered. Any other volunteers that wish to be considered? If not, do I have a motion to assign Manny Cruz as the non-voting liaison to Region 13?
So move.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner
David
Fuentes.
Fuentes. Yes, sir.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Thank you, Mr. Cruz, for volunteering to do that for us. And again, as I mentioned with Vanessa, we need to make sure that we are kept informed of what is developing in Region 13 that will impact us in Region 15, and how we can make sure and not only mitigate issues, but also incorporate into our plan any of what we need to. So thank you so much. Item number 11 is discussion and action as appropriate for the development of a regional flood planning grant application. A, pre-registered public comments on this or public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any on, Jaime or Megan?
Chairman, no one registered on my end, sir.
Megan?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, then we go to item B, which is update from planning group sponsor on the development of the regional flood planning grant application.
Chairman, committee members, our engineering team is working on putting together the general information and administrative documentation required for the submission of the application. At this point, we do have a couple of questions that I will be meeting with the Texas Water Development Board on later to discuss, but we don't foresee any issues on meeting the January 21st deadline. The application is pretty straightforward. The information it's asking for. So I'm confident that the drainage district will submit by the deadline. I don't have anything else to report unless there's any questions.
It does not have to be approved by us to be submitted, correct?
Megan, I'll refer to you on that. I believe it does not, Chairman. If it is, then we would. Ms. Megan?
There's nothing in the regional flood planning rules that requires that. I'll defer to you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure we're clear, okay?
And I can submit it to the executive members, Chairman. If you would like, I can send that a draft copy so you can see before the actual submittal date.
Sure, that would be good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item number 12, discussion and action. So there's no action on 11 except for knowing that you will be submitting it on time.
Yes, sir. We will have it in on time.
Okay. Item number 12 is discussion and action as appropriate as it relates to the RFQ and scope of work. Again, are there any public comments listed on this, either Megan or Jaime?
No, sir, Chairman, not on my end.
No, sir.
Okay, an update from the planning group sponsor.
Chairman, committee members, as you know, yesterday I emailed out the RFQ packet. As previously discussed in our other meeting, we are following the procedures put in place by the drainage district that we have. We're following the same procedures for the RFQ packet. We requested approval from our board of directors to advertise for the RFQ, and we also received approval from our board of directors. We can't thank them enough for their support with this region, but we did receive for them to release the RFQ to the Region 15 committee. I emailed it out to everyone. We are using the scope of work that was provided by the Texas Water Development Board. I know that they had one on their website, and in discussions with Ms. Megan, I know that the Water Development Board prefers that we use that scope of work. So I did send out a copy yesterday to everyone. I'm open to entertain any questions. Moving forward, we would advertise for 2 weeks, 2 consecutive weeks. One question that I did receive, and we will be advertising our local newspaper. We will be sending it out to the clerk's offices within the 14. I will be sending it out to the Texas Water Development Board. But Ms. Megan, one question, I didn't know if they had to be posted on any other newspaper within our region, or just the email to the clerks would be enough. I don't know if you have any input on that.
There's not a newspaper requirement on our end.
Okay. And as go ahead.
Excuse me, Jaime. Mr. Chairman, one of the questions that we asked as a board yesterday when this was proposed to us was whether we would have sufficient representation in all the regions. So Mr. Salazar, if you could update, I know you mentioned right now that you're going to put it on the Water Development Board, but can you list all of the area agencies and websites where you'll be posting this so that we have adequate representation within all of Region 15 and not just in Hidalgo County or where you guys
yes, sir,
typically work?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. So our RFQ will be posted on the Texas Water Development Board website. They will be posted. They will be running, the ad will be running on the Monitor, which is our local paper. And then you can also find it under mypublicnotices.com. mypublicnotices.com. And a keyword would be Hidalgo County Drainage District #1. RFQs could be used as keywords for mypublicnotices.com. And then also, as mentioned, Commissioner, we will be sending them to all the clerk's office within the Region 15. So I believe it's a total of 14 counties.
Is there a way that we can ask our Council of Governments that are participating in Region 15 to provide a link maybe to their areas so that there's access?
It's up to the committee, sir. If you wish to, we can definitely forward it to them. Yes, sir.
I think the more dissemination we do of this RFQ, the better for all of us.
Yes, sir.
And
Okay.
we want to make sure that we don't just do it in one concentrated area.
Of course. And of course, you know, the committee members are more than welcome. Anyone that's interested, please just give them my information and they can request a copy of the packet via email as well. And we'll be happy to send it to them for their review and consideration. Once we receive, as previously discussed with the board, we are making this project specific to our project. So once we receive the packets, we will follow the same procedure as we do. They will be scored and ranked by the drainage district and then presented to the chairman and committee for your consideration.
You know, are there any questions from any other board members on the RFQ as written? Because I have a couple of things that I want to make sure. Has the Texas Water Development Board reviewed this document as presented to us already, Megan?
Emmett has sent me the draft RFQ and I'm reviewing it as of this morning with my team. So there are a few things we look for. We'll be getting feedback to him shortly.
Okay, so does that mean that we can't approve it until that happens?
No, there's not a requirement for that, but it's
Okay.
recommended just so because we've had some fluid recommendations as well. So it's my intention to review as quickly as possible so that there's
Okay.
no hold up, just because there's no requirement for that review, but we'd like to.
Okay, thank you. Jaime, I have a couple of things
Yes,
or
sir.
concerns. The first one is 3 weeks. Is that enough to really reach out? You're going to be advertising for 2 weeks for somebody to put a good proposal together, or not a proposal, but a qualification statement?
I believe the qualification statements
It shouldn't be a problem, right?
will be due on the 3rd, sir. So I believe it's advertised 2 weeks and another week. So the
Right.
statements itself will be due on February the 3rd.
Okay, so about 3 weeks. So that's not an issue with time.
Chairman, that's the way we've done it, and we receive everything in order. We haven't had any issues in the past, so we're just following the same procedures that we do, standard.
Okay. In regards to the wording, like starting on the second page, or I guess it's page 4 maybe.
Okay.
It says 4 of 81, okay?
Okay.
You know, should there be an additional, I mean, all of it refers to as Hidalgo County Drainage District number 1.
Yes,
Should
sir.
it not also include the regional planning group on that piece?
Commissioner or Chairman, the reason we did that, like I said, we did receive approval from our board to release this to the Region 15 membership. We're keeping the language standard, but we can definitely add on there if you wish, sir. That's not a problem.
You know, I would think that it, you know, an item, you know, even starting at like on 2, 3, on
Yes, sir.
item 5, on item 8, you know, the district, I mean, I should say we should add Region 15 flood planning group on all of those 9.
And I can confirm that would be okay. This is our legal notice, Chairman. So I would.
Well, but you're our sponsor, okay?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
You know, you're our sponsor, but the work is being done for the flood planning group,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
So should we not, on item number 12 on page 5, the funds for this procurement have been provided through the district budget for this fiscal year only. What does that mean?
That means that whatever, I mean, we have the funds available if we need to, because we will be getting reimbursed, I believe, for these items. So that means that we do have the funding in place, Commissioner or Chairman, to move forward with this RFQ.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. on page 6, which we have the ethical standards, there also, I think we need to add Region 15 group to
Okay.
the mix.
Yes,
On
sir.
the notice on page 7, on the notice, I think we also need to add Region 15 to the notice, because on page 8, on 21, I think we need to add also Region 15 group.
Okay.
25, the same thing. 26 on page 8, the same thing. 27 and 30.
10-4. Yes, sir. Chairman, we'll do that.
Okay, and those are really the things that I had, because at the end of the day, we're using you guys as our sponsor, but at the end of the day, the original flood planning group, Region 15 committee, which is on Exhibit A, is, if you notice on Exhibit A, Section 3, it refers to Statement of Qualifications, Grading and Ranking Protocol, and that says the Regional Flood Planning Group Committee shall select a firm on the basis of demonstrated competence, and the region group will review, evaluate, and score the Statement of Qualifications. So you need to make sure make sure that there's no double standards anywhere in there.
Will do, Chairman. Your comments are noted
and then when you get those things incorporated, unless the board has or wishes to all receive this document, and we can send it if you'd like, but as Megan said, there's no statutory requirements other than the procurement processes that you have to follow through your sponsor.
Yes, sir.
We can go ahead and disseminate it and proceed with it.
Will do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any other comments from any members?
Yeah, this is Hudson. I was looking at my email and I saw this email from yesterday. Just because for me to review something, 24 hours is not enough time. I would need maybe 5 business days, something like that. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else is.
I apologize for the late submission, Mr. Doyle. It was the time that we had to get this ready and then in line with our board meeting. So I do apologize for the short notice, but I will note that for the next time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I sympathize with you, Dr. Deo. I felt the same way, but I, started going through it, and I said, well, we better at least, it's not statutorily required, but we can give them recommendations, because we, at the end of the day, have to go with the procurement process that our sponsor has in place. So I appreciate them taking our suggestions and incorporating them into their document. There's no substantial changes as far as that goes. Any other comments from any of the other board members? Okay, so Jaime, you will make those minor clarifications, work with Texas Water Development Board, make sure our document is clean and clear, and then proceed with the procurement process.
Will do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 13 is discussion and action as appropriate on the development of public website required by Texas Administrative Code 361. Item A is pre-registered public comments in regards to item 13. Do we have any, Megan or Jaime?
None on my end, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Item B is update from the planning group sponsor, Mr. Salazar.
Chairman, committee members, I've been working with our IT manager on requesting quotes for a standalone website to include a webmaster that will be able to run the website for us, or at least navigate and post the items that are sent to us. If I may, I would like to present the 3 quotes that I received for the committee's consideration. The first quote received is from Easy Task. And that comes with 20 hours a year of a virtual webmaster. The first year price is $5,995 with a second year price of $2,000 a year. And like I said, that does come with the webmaster. So any information that we forward to this person or individual, they'll be able to post and set up on our standalone website. The next vendor that we requested was from Civic Plus. Civic Plus only had a minimum option of 60 hours of virtual webmaster a year. I don't think that that's what we would need. That is a lot of time for the information that we'll be disseminating. Their first year price was $22,000, 431.00, with a second yearly price of $10,200. Those were the only two vendors that were able to provide us with quotes for a virtual webmaster. Now, I in discussion with Megan and in looking at what the other regions are considering, another option for the committee, Mr. Chairman, to consider would be that we can wait on this item. And I did kind of set up a link on the Drainage District's website. It's a small link, Region 15 link that was posted for our video today, and we can add minutes. One of the other things, like I said, we discussed was maybe leaving this as an option for our consultant. When we do bring one on board, if that would be, an option for the committee to consider as well, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just make a couple of comments. The first is, whoever we go with, I want to make sure that whatever domain we get belongs to us. Sometimes when we get these, we hire somebody to run these websites, they create it, but the content and all of the material that is published really doesn't belong to us. So I want to make sure that whatever pathway we use, that the domain name and all of the information that's there belongs to us and not to the person that's managing the site for us.
Yes, sir.
That was number one. And then number two, the ability for us to be able to manage and create our own changes to that website, that it doesn't just that we're mandated to use their hours in order to put in hyperlinks or add a tab or put in a new procurement link. I just want to make sure that we have the ability along with them to be able to manage it, because I think there'll be some simple things that we can do. And I don't want to be, tapping into hours that aren't necessary when there's something that we're capable of doing within our own experiences and resources. So those two comments I just wanted to make in general.
Thank you, Commissioner. Duly noted.
Thank you, Commissioner Fuentes. Those are two things that I know I just went through developing one. And, we went through those two processes, and it was for a lot less money than what someone is trying to charge us there. That's for sure.
Like I said, Mr. Chairman, the reason we did that is where the fee goes up is with a webmaster.
Right.
That's where technically it's significantly that's probably how was processed on your end, right, without the webmaster, but that's what drives up the price on it.
How do you do your website at the Hidalgo County Drainage District number 1?
We do that in-house, sir.
In-house?
Yes, sir. We have our IT manager that manages that, but we only have one IT manager on board, so we spread them pretty thin as it is now, Chairman. So I wanted to include that on there as an option, so that way we can have them make sure that someone's available at all times to make sure they keep up with our postings.
Is, for example, the Easy Pass that you mentioned with 20 hours, does that include applying for and getting a domain? And usually it's more than one domain name. It includes like 2 or 3 that are closely related.
Yes, sir. That does. Yes, sir.
And it also includes management and allowing us to manage to some extent?
On that one, I would have to get back to you, Chairman, but I believe they would allow us to manage.
And it would belong to us, not to the Easy Pass group.
It would belong to us, yes, sir. Yeah, the domain would be good for 10 years, yes, sir.
This is Hudson. I got a question, just in general. The website, is this just for the duration of the group's activities, or is this going to be a permanent website for flood issues for the valley?
Miss Megan, I don't know if it would go past our term.
So it would be for Region 15. So, I mean, you guys will continue into future planning cycles, and this would be y'all's website unless you made plans to change it.
So as long as the Region 15 flood planning group is in planning processes, the website would remain the same, whether it be 10 years or 20 years or whatever.
Yes, sir. Well, yes, y'all are, that will be y'all's website, but you can also implement any changes you'd like to, right? Whether it's soon or in future planning cycles, but whatever website you choose, that is Region 15's website space for the regional flood planning process. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Chairman, I did confirm, to answer your previous question, that we will have the authority to manage it ourselves as well, Mr. Chairman. So yes.
With Easy Pass?
Easy Task, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, this is Joe. You know what's up? For clarification, the Hidalgo County cannot take charge of the website for us?
Mr. Nojosa, in the inception, we can, sir, but depending on how it goes, I mean, we definitely have to look at it, sir. I mean, right now that we don't have a lot of data, I think we can maybe manage it, but once we start receiving information from our consultants and stuff, I think we'd have to try to outsource it or have someone assist us with this.
Okay, I get you. All right.
Has anyone in this group had any work done by Easy Pass? No, I'm assuming it's a no. I think the thing to do here is to table this item and maybe do a little research to make sure that they're going to provide for us what we need.
Yes,
and
sir.
you know, the cost doesn't seem to be completely way out of line, but you know, if you could share that with at least with the executive committee and have us review it, and then for the next meeting maybe we can all formulate a suggestion for you.
We'll do, Mr. Chairman. Committee members will forward out some information for your consideration.
Anybody
one
else?
Comment, Mr. Yeah, one last comment, Mr. Chairman. If we could, Jaime, if you could let us know like the term of their agreement. I know you said like extended years or second years. You know, how many optional years do we have to extend this contract if we do execute it with them?
Yeah, we'll get all that information together, package it up, and forward it to y'all, Commissioner.
Okay. Thank you.
So, in the way of a formal motion, should we
table it?
Formally table this? Or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I would agree to that as well.
Okay, so you're moving the table.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I second, Ms. Hudson.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. If anyone has any information that could be beneficial on this particular issue to the board in any way, shape, or form, please forward it either to myself or Jaime, and we will, if there's other opportunities or other things, companies we need to look at, let us know, you know, okay? Thank you. Item number 14 is public comment in general. Is there anyone signed up for public comment?
Mr. Chairman, there's somebody that has comment.
Mr. Khalifa's on, hold on.
Yeah, I just, Jaime mentioned, and I saw the link on the Drainage District's website. Is that active? And in the meantime, can people communicate through that and we post items through that?
No, sir, Mr. Khalifa, that's not active. That was posted up there so that way the public had a way to view our meeting today, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
So we need to act on this, you know, at our next meeting at the latest so that we can make sure that we have an active website, Mr.
Yes,
Califa,
sir.
just that.
We'll be ready, sir.
Okay. Again, I will go to any public comment that might be out there. Jaime, anyone on the line that you have, or Megan?
No one registered or no one on the line on my end, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think that we've considered the items that we need so far on the agenda, and I will work with Jaime. And if anyone has an item that they'd like to include, please let me know and we'll get it on. In looking for the next date for a meeting, the date that I was looking at was the 24th of February.
I'm
At
good with,
8:30 a.m. again.
That's fine with me. You got my vote.
Okay, and that would give us enough time to get those RFQs in and hopefully be able to start working on that and having some kind of report to the group by then.
Yes, sir.
Everybody okay?
Yeah, Commissioner
Yes.
Gato, this is Rick Carrera with the
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is may not be the most opportune time to ask this question, but just so I can be on the same page with everybody, who will reach out to Region 14 in terms of the liaison? Will that be us, or will Water Development Board facilitate in that? And task?
Megan, is there a process that we follow, or do we just reach out through the individual that has been appointed?
Yes, so I'm happy to provide contact information over the chair and sponsor of Region 14 and pass that along.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch.
Mr. Carrera, just to clarify, Mr. Carrera, I believe that the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council was the liaison for Region 13.
13, yes.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
14 is West Texas, 13 is Nueces County, that area.
Right. Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments that anyone wishes to make before we adjourn? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So be it from Joe Hinojosa.
Sonia, second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you all so much for participating with us this morning. And again, I reiterate, please stay safe. Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
Same to you,
See you
sir.
on the
Have a good one. Take care.
Okay.
God bless.